The Experiences of Loveday Brooke, Lady Detective, is a collection of mystery short stories written by Catherine Louisa Purkis in 1894. It is notable for being the first collection of detective stories about a woman written by a woman. She is sometimes called the female Sherlock Holmes, which makes perfect sense because her stories came out at the same time as some of the Sherlock Holmes stories. Specifically, the same time as stories 3 through 8 of the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. Her 6 stories were published monthly in the Ludgate magazine. They were printed in a collection the following year, along with a brand new story. Purkis retired from writing after this book was published, so there were not any sequels. Brooke is a little over 30 years old. She's very businesslike and rarely shows emotion, except when she's getting annoyed by other people. Then she's pretty annoyed. I kind of like it when she gets into fights with her boss and other guys because they're being stupid. Those were fun segments to read. She comes across as rude to a lot of the people that she meets because she'll do or say something odd and she'll refuse to explain how it's related to the mystery. She seems to enjoy purposely subverting people's expectations in general. Brooke works for a detective agency. Her boss, Ebenezer Dyer, likes her because she's sensible, smart, and she follows orders. He doesn't care that ladies aren't supposed to be crime solvers. She and Dyer communicate by coded message. Pretty much every story starts with Dyer giving her a new case, or ends with her giving her end-of-case report to him. I'll do a quick recap of all the 7 cases in this book. Case 1 is the black bag left on a doorstep. Brooke goes undercover as a maid to investigate a theft. The main suspect is Stephanie Delcroix, who keeps contradicting herself and going into hysterics. Halfway through the story, she tries running away into the woods. I think the story would be improved if Brooke met Stephanie. Brooke meets Stephanie's sympathetic fiancé, but not Stephanie herself. The mystery is probably impossible for modern readers to solve. It requires you to recognize quotations from a book that's called The Reciter's Treasury. I looked, I couldn't find anything about this book. If it's real, then it's been out of print for over 100 years. The culprit left one quotation at the crime scene as a joke. The culprit left a second quotation in a fake suicide note, which was intended to distract the police. Brooke picks up on the pattern and she identifies the culprit as the comedic performer who would know those quotations. At the end of the story, Brooke says the culprit entered the victim's house by disguising himself as an out-of-work clergyman. This information should have been mentioned earlier. I can't believe everybody forgot to say an unknown priest showed up at the house at the same time as the theft. Case 2, the murder at Troyt'S Hill. A lodgekeeper is killed. Suspicion falls upon the owner's son, who is faking a case of typhoid fever to avoid dealing with the police. And yet when the police make a surprise visit to arrest him, the only person in the room is his sister, who is supposed to be out of town. The solution is that the sister only pretended to leave town. She impersonated her brother all week to give him enough time to escape to Brazil. This mystery solution is surprising and all the small details are well thought out. I do have one complaint. Brooke says she figured it out after finding a long lock of hair in the daughter's old room. We saw Brooke search the room, but we didn't get told anything about her finding the hair. So that's twice in a row that a fairly big clue is concealed from the readers. The real murderer is the house's owner, who is a half-mad academic who's gone fully mad. The scene where Brooke confronts him is legitimately frightening. He talks about how thrilling it is to commit murder. He tries to kill her multiple times, and at one point he starts whispering in her ear in a creepy manner. Luckily, Brooke is smart enough to have brought 3 officers along as backup. Case 3, the Red Hill Sisterhood. Someone suspects a group of nuns is a cover for a gang of thieves. Whenever the nuns visit a house, it's later robbed. The culprits in this case are very well organized. They instantly identify Brooke as a detective and send someone to shadow her. Brooke gets the help of a reporter who watches the nuns, while Brooke inspects all the nearby houses that the thieves might target. The case ends with several double crosses. The nuns are totally innocent. The reporter is working with the thieves. He only pretended to befriend Brooke so he could feed her false information. but she double-crosses him by sending a fake message to the police right in front of him. Since this book was written in the 1800s, everybody thinks it's very bold of the thieves to target a house with electric lights. In fact, the thieves bring an electrical engineer with them just to disable these lights. I guess these thieves don't know how light switches work. Case 4. A Princess's Vengeance. A pretty amanuensis named Lucy Kernier has disappeared. Her employer is Mrs. Druce, who runs a charity for people in the Middle East. The charity is called the Harem Mission. I think a modern version of the story would use a different name. Other characters are Mrs. Druce's friend, who the victim used to work for. Major Druce was interested in the victim, even though he's engaged to a Turkish princess named Loveday. The victim had a nasty-looking suitor named Hafiz Kasimi. Brooke watches all of the suspects interact at a party. She purposely is introduced as a detective just to see how everyone will react. The solution is that all the female characters are guilty. They worried that Major Druce liked Lucy a little too much, so they bribed her to marry a butler and move to France. Major Druce is flabbergasted to learn so many people conspired together because they didn't trust him around another woman. Case 5. Drawn Daggers. Miss Monroe's family sent her overseas to the Hawke family in order to get her away from an undesirable suitor. Her valuable necklace has disappeared, and Hawke has received strange mail. One letter was a picture of a dagger, the second was a picture of 2 daggers. This ends up being another love case. On the journey overseas, Miss Monroe purposely traded places with a maid so she could escape and marry her secret boyfriend. There are several clues which indicate Miss Monroe is an imposter. She cleans her room the way a maid would, not the way a lady would. She purposely avoids everybody who she's supposed to know, and she talks with an Irish accent. That is, she says hush like it starts with the letter W. It's only a slight accent, but you'd think somebody else would have noticed it if it's so pronounced that Brooke identifies it after one word. The daggers are a secret code to signal to the imposter when it's safe to leave. They didn't want to give themselves away by sending her mail directly, so they sent the mail to Hawke, and they purposely picked the daggers because that was so strange, Hawke would be sure to mention it out loud when he gets this mail. Brooke lures the culprits out of hiding by sending a picture of 3 daggers. Yes, the secret code is that easy to crack. It's 1, 2, 3. Case 6, The Ghost of Fountain Lane. This is another mystery which probably can't be solved by modern readers. It assumes that you're familiar with the state of religion in 1890s England and mentions at least 4 different religious groups. A shoemaker and his wife see the ghost of Napoleon one night. Brooke says only religious people see ghosts, but normally they see religious figures. Since the shoemaker saw Napoleon, that means they must be secretly attending the millenarian church that associates Apollyon with Napoleon. That religious group believes 144,000 people will be ascended into heaven in the year 1896. Brooke connects this to a stolen check mystery, which has that number written on the back, so clearly the check thief secretly belongs to that group too. The thief stole the money to punish a priest for having the wrong religion. Case 7. Missing. Irene Golding disappeared 10 days ago. Her Italian mother died about 12 years ago when the family moved from Australia. Irene recently rejected a suitor named Gordon Cleave. He was so mad, he left on a 3-year journey around the world. It must be nice to be so rich, you can go on a multi-year vacation at the drop of a hat. Brooke focuses her attention on Irene's sullen Italian maid, Maddalena. Brooke pretends that she suspects Cleave, and she pays Maddalena to go to Italy, just in case Cleave tries to escape there. This is all a trick. Brooke is lulling Maddalena into a false sense of security, in the hope that she will go to Irene's secret hiding spot. At home, a dog finds Irene's dead body in the river. Everyone assumes the case is over, but Brooke refuses to leave until she hears from Italy. Things end with the plot twist that Irene is alive and well with her grandfather. The dead body they found belongs to Irene's mother, who did not die 12 years ago. She faked her own death and ran away to be an actress. She recently returned to be reunited with her family, but when she saw her old husband with his new fiancée, she was so distraught she killed herself in the river. It's just a coincidence this all happened the same day that Brooke arrived at the house. Those are the Loveday Brooke mysteries. It's an okay book, even if some of the mysteries are so dated they can't be solved by modern audiences. I think the mysteries had some good ideas, and there were more hits than misses. Brooke was an interesting detective, and I noticed the stories got better as the book went on. I'm kinda disappointed that we never got any more stories starring this character. I give the experiences of Loveday Brooke, Lady Detective, a 7 out of 10.